looking for when we come sword fishing is really the depth range from 1100 to 1400 is typically the range I'm trying to stay in. And typically I'm looking for like a bowl in the canyon where it's 1200 feet on the bowl and then it drops off to the canyon on either side. A lot of times they'll come from the deep up onto that plateau, and that's where they're going to do their hunting and feeding for squid, snake mackerel. We fish a lot of squids and we fish a lot of eels. The eels resemble the snake mackerel, and the squids, you know, they feed on those all the time. Also, mahi bellies are very good in the fall time. Bonita strips and bonita bellies are also very good. Once we get the first eddy that rolls in from the Gulf Stream across the structure, them swords roll in with the Gulf Stream. Once they get on the structure, a lot of times they'll stay on the structure. Even if the water leaves, those swords will stay there. So this is a typical area that we would sword fish. You can see here by all the marks, you know, I would do very good here. And you can see by where the marks are spread out, they do move throughout the structure. So what you have here is two canyons coming in, and then you have a big flat here coming into the canyon. And this is what I call either a toilet bowl or a plateau. You have one here and you have one over here. So this is coming down the flat, it's shallow, and then it drops down, and then you're going to go into your canyon. So a lot of times them swords are either right on the tip of the drop off, or they're right on the plateau of the toilet bowl, or they're right on the shelf where it drops, you know, down into the canyon wall. You know, the ideal drift is to go east to west or west to east to cover the different structure depths. You know, sometimes you have a north to south, and we'll do a drift here, then we'll come over, do a drift deeper, and then we'll do a third drift real deep. Every trip's different, where they're going to be sitting, where they're going to be feeding. But once you find one, there's normally multiples there. You know, we have some trips that will have 10, 12 sword bites in just a few short hours. So what we're going to do when we're set out here, we'll do a set drift where we'll see our drift, how it's coming across the structure, and then we'll start setting out down sea. When I start going down sea, I got one engine in gear. I'm doing 4 or 5 knots down sea. We'll have the LP in free spool on the line out. We're going to start a little deeper. We're in 1350 now, and then we'll work up shallower from here.
Squid on 6 foot, 200 extra hard, or 220 extra hard. Foot of that, you got lights about an arm length apart. You got a 100-foot top shot of 200 Amoy. You let all that out. Jeff puts the boat in gear, and when he lets you know, drop it. It's a 6-pound lead. Depending on the current and wind and all, will determine how heavy your lead's going to be.
I'll start backing the boat up as the reel's still in free spool.
Letting it out here, you're going to stop it at 500 so you don't tangle it. Just to let everything stretch out. Then once you get to like 900, 950, you're going to let him know, and he'll start backing down. And once you hit bottom, when you'll know. 900, 1,000. Start backing down like 1,100. 1,100.
The object is to just back straight on top of the line. So when the lead hits the bottom, the boat's directly above it, and then we'll start fishing it.
Yeah, he's gonna try and just keep you straight up and down on it the whole time. Just stay in free spool till you hit bottom.
Today we got 10, 12 knots of wind. It's pushing me down sea, so I'm constantly gonna keep bumping the engine in reverse to keep it straight up and down. That way when we get that bite, you know, the bite's very subtle. It's just gonna be, a tap. Sword fishing, as much as there's a lot of downtime, it's not a lazy sport. You got to be watching that rod tip the whole time. If you miss that bite, a lot of times that's it. He's not going to come back. So when you get that bite, you want to move it. You know, you want to bring it up 20 feet. You want to drop it down 20 feet. You want them to hit that bait again. Sometimes they'll hit it, you know, a dozen times before they commit to it. When we're working our bait, we're going to hit bottom, we're going to come up 100 feet, we're going to work it 30 feet at a time, up to 200, 250 feet off the bottom, and then we'll start working it back down again. One of the big things I think with sword fishing is constantly letting that lead smack the bottom. If you can imagine a 6 to 8 pound lead hitting the bottom, it's throwing up a big mud ball down there. For the swords, they're scavengers. They're hunting on the bottom. They're going to think that's something's feeding there, and that sound is going to echo throughout the whole, you know, bottom of the ocean down there, and that's going to bring swords in from you know, not right under us. You know, they'll bring them in hopefully. Number one, not paying attention to the rod tip. That's probably the biggest. Number two would be fishing too much drag. We're gonna hook the fish with 27, 28 pounds of drag. You got 14 to 1,000 foot of line out there. There's a lot of scope in it. As soon as you hook that fish, I'm gonna hit him with a lot of heat, drive that hook in, and then as soon as we got him hooked up, I'm going to back it down to 12 pounds. I'm going to fight him on 12 to 14 pounds the whole fight. They got very soft mouths and very easy to pull the hook. Third biggest, not being committed to it. You know, it's they don't bite every day. You know, every time we come out, I try to do a drop. You know, at least one drop every trip.